Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel with David, your host. Today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the Puma MB.04s, which is LaMelo Ball's fourth signature shoe. His third signature shoe was a pretty solid shoe overall in my opinion. The traction was very good and very consistent regardless of the court condition that you were in. Cushioning was really good. It has a decent amount of responsiveness and bounce in the forefoot and decent cushioning overall in the heel. Materials were very good and flexible with a nice aesthetic appeal. Lockdown was one of the best that you're going to get when it comes to overall lockdown in a shoe, and the support got the job done for me at the end of the day. So with the fours, I figured I'd give it a shot to see if there are any improvements and any similarities to the threes, and here's what I think. When it comes to the try-on experience, they were kind of hard to put on, so you do have to open up the laces a little bit just to get your foot inside the shoe. But luckily, they aren't that hard to take off as long as you don't tighten up the laces too tight. They're very easy to take off. But putting them on, you do have to repetitively open up the laces so that you can get your foot inside the shoe, which is kind of annoying, and I had similar issues in the LaMelo 3s. So basically, it's the same construction as the 3s, so you're going to have the same issues at that. As far as sizing is concerned, it is exactly the same as the 3s. I went true to size and it fits me like a glove. A little too snug for my liking. I did experience some cramping with casual wear and every now and then. But for playing, it opened up just enough. That way it is very nice and containing and snug overall. So because of that, I would go true to size, maybe go up half a size to get the overall roomier fit. For narrow footers, I would probably go true to size as well, considering it is a very narrow shoe. However, for wide footers, I'll probably go up half a size, maybe a full size because of how narrow the shoe is. As far as pricing is concerned, they're priced exactly the same as the 3s at $125. So if you guys are interested in the 4s, I will leave a link in the description box below. Now getting into the traction, you are going to get a full-length Puma grip rubber outsole with this crazy storytelling traction pattern with the central portion with the wording here being made out of herringbone, while the rest of it is like a wavy pattern with a UFO of all things on the top. And it transitions to this flame pattern in the heel with the word rare spelled out. And when it comes to how it performs, there isn't anything rare about it. So overall, the grip to me was pretty decent, but it does require some break-in time. Initially, the grip isn't that good, and I slid around a lot, especially when it came to vertical movements. But once you break it in and you start warming up the rubber, it actually feels pretty good on foot. For lateral movements, it felt grippy, and I was able to be really shifty going from side to side. Didn't really slide around that much on a clean court. Vertical movements, the hard stops at first aren't good, and when I was trying to do step backs, I didn't really do a step back at all. But once you break it in, it does improve overall, allowing you to stop on a dime when you need to. And as far as first steps go, they give you a pretty decent launch as well, so you're able to get a decent quick first step overall. Moving into dust, it does pick up some dust, but nothing crazy overall, and it is fairly easy to wipe off. So if you pick up some dust, it's fairly easy to wipe off, and I rarely had to wipe off to begin with. So overall, it just average when it comes to dusty courts. Durability, it's decent with some wear on the high wear areas. You see a little bit of wear on the high wear areas with a little bit of fraying on the rubber itself, and you're also going to get some wear on the back half of the outsole itself with the wording balding out a little bit. And I would probably keep these indoors because of that, because the grooves aren't necessarily that deep and the overall rubber is pretty soft. And once you start playing these outside, it'll probably burn right through the grooves itself. So as long as you keep them indoors, you're going to have grip that is pretty decent overall. Just be sure that you give them some break-in time. That way the grip overall improves when you are playing in them. Now when it comes to the cushioning, it carries over from the LaMelo 3s, where you get this full-length EVA midsole with nitro-infused foam in the forefoot and in the heel. However, for forefoot cushioning, it has a nice responsive feel overall and a surprising amount of liveliness under your foot. It felt really nice and really responsive under your foot, and it wasn't as lively in the 3s compared to these, which I found surprising overall considering that it is the same midsole. And in terms of overall bounce, it feels pretty nice too. It has a nice snappy feel under your foot, and it gives you a nice launch off of the ground too, so that was actually surprising too compared to the 3s. In the heel, it feels really nice and soft, and it has just the right amount of compression under your foot, which to me feels softer compared to the LaMelo 3s, where I found that the carryall feels a little stiffer in the 3s compared to the 4s, where it's just a little bit more soft. Overall, the impact protection is nice and solid overall as well when it came to the overall heel strikes, which is an improvement to the 3s, where I felt it was kind of landing on a concrete, but it was bearable to say the least when it came to the 3s. Overall fluidity, it feels very nice and fluid. It gave me really nice fluid strides. Heel to toe transitions felt really smooth, and it really felt like the Lamello 2s in that respect when it came to the overall forgiveness in the heel. So overall, it was really nice going up and down the court and playing with these, and it felt very nice and forgiving under your foot. So at the end of the day, it feels very comparable to the 3s. It is a slight improvement to the 3s with the liveliness that you get in the forefoot and bounce, as well as the softness in the heel as well. Now, diving into the materials, you're going to get a full bed of engineered mesh all around this shoe with textile paneled exoskeleton material right on top of it in the forefoot, and it extends into the lateral and medial side of the shoe. You're also going to get more textile paneling on the tongue as well, with a pull tab as well as some really abundant padding on the tongue as well. You're going to get some decent padding here in the heel, and overall they felt very comfortable on foot. The overall material in the forefoot is very nice and flexible with the engineered mesh, and it continues onward into the midfoot with a nice amount of padding on the tongue, and I didn't experience any lace irritation with the integrated lace eyelets that you get on the shoe itself. And the padding is nice overall, and it is very minimal to say the least, but you do get enough, and it is a slight downgrade compared to the 3s if you want to compare it to that. But aesthetically, it is insanely chaotic overall. It feels like there's everything everywhere all at once, and it feels like they threw the kitchen sink into this design from top to bottom. The overall design when it comes to the textiles in the forefoot is a little bit much, with the rare wording that you get integrated with Lamello's tattoo. You also get the same tattoo on the top of the tongue, and it continues into the lateral side with more wording, with more of Lamello's themes that you get on the lateral and medial side. And you're also going to get this dripped out La France logo that you get on the back, which is nice overall. And you're going to get some more storytelling designs with one of one in the back and the heel with the midsole. And you're also going to get this plastic guard spelling out Mello's name overall. And you're going to get some more wording that you get on the top of the toe box here, and it continues into the outsole itself with the not from here wording, as well as the rare and the weirdest of all things, the UFO especially, which is kind of crazy overall to me. So aesthetically, it is a very chaotic shoe, but you can't go wrong. It is basically a very comfortable shoe, just like the Lamello 3s, but they look very chaotic at the same time. So when it comes to lockdown, to put it plainly, you're basically locked and loaded the moment you lace up. In the forefoot, because of the overall snug fit that you get, you basically aren't going to experience any movement laterally and vertically. And the same story goes into the midfoot with the overall lacing system integrated into the materials. It is basic, but it contains the midfoot really well, and it's basically bare bones when it comes to overall containment. And the heel, zero heel slippage whatsoever. The overall padding that you get along with the sculpting that you get contains the heel really well. That way you won't experience any heel slippage at all. So overall, they feel exactly like the 3s when it comes to the overall lockdown. And at the end of the day, from front to back, you're basically locked and loaded the moment you put them on, just like in the Lamello 3s. And lastly, when it comes to the support, I found it to be really good overall and as comparable to the Lamello 3s in my opinion. For lateral support, you don't necessarily get an outrigger, but you get a plastic guardrail in the forefoot that wraps up into the materials a little bit, and you also sit within the midsole that way when you're doing lateral movements. It keeps the material from caving in on you when you're doing side-to-side action. And the same thing continues into the midfoot with the plastic guardrail extending into the midfoot, giving you a little bit more containment from the guardrail, as well as the midsole itself with the materials, giving you some decent support overall. And the heel, you get a nice rugged TPU heel counter. That way it contains the heel very nicely. So when it comes to lateral support, it is good, but the lack of an outrigger is a bit of an issue, but the plastic guardrail makes up for it. Moving into torsional rigidity, it is very rigid. With the bottom loaded TPU shank, it keeps the shoe really rigid in the midfoot. That way you're basically having really nice balance in the forefoot. Didn't experience any instabilities in that case, so overall torsional rigidity felt really good. For the base, they do look kind of narrow overall, but the flatness of the outsole makes up for you, so you're going to have a nice flat base when you're landing on 2 feet. Just be mindful that the outsole itself is a little bit narrow, and it's more close to the shape of your foot than anything else. So overall, when it comes to support, to me, it feels just like the Lamello 3s, where they just get the job done when it comes to lateral support. But for torsional support, it's really good, as well as the base, while the outsole itself feels really now, it is nice and flat overall. So to sum it up for you guys, Puma and Lamello Ball made another solid performer when it comes to the MB.04s. The traction overall gets the job done, but it is a slight downgrade to the Lamello 3s. Cushioning is an upgrade in my opinion, with a nice responsive and lively feel in the forefoot and softer cushioning in the heel. Materials, while they look chaotic, they feel exactly the same and feel really comfortable overall, with the lockdown being good as well, and as well as the support pretty much on par with the Lamello 3s. When it comes to what I prefer more, I like playing in the 4s more because of the overall cushion. The traction is a downgrade, but it is unbearable to say the least. If you want better traction, I would go with the 3s, or wait for the 4s to drop a translucent outsole. I hear that the translucent outsole performs better in Pumas compared to the rubber, so I would wait for those to see if those perform better and on par with the Lamello 3s. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I will do that to give you a little perspective on that. So overall, you can't go wrong with the 4s. It is an overall solid performer, just like the 3s, but the overall cushioning to me gives the 4s the edge over the 3s, and it plays a little bit better to me overall, and it feels a little more lively on your foot. The 3s to me felt like they're a little bottom heavy compared to these. So overall, Puma and Lamello Ball made another solid shoe when it came to the Puma MB.04s. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance review on the Puma MB.04s. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below on what you think of the Lamello 4s. Are they better than the Lamello 3s, or are the 4s better than the 3s? I'd like to know your thoughts on that, as well as any other questions that you might have. If you'd like to stay up to date with future videos that I'll be posting, hit the subscribe button down below, and it will greatly support the channel as well. And if you want to see my review on the Lamello 3s, I will leave it on this side of the screen. And if you're interested to see my review on the Lamello 2s, I will leave it on that side of the screen right here. And if you want to follow me on social media, all of that information will be on the description box below. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys. And until next time, keep shooting.